Bonjour and welcome back to Business Class. I feel like I needed a bit of oomph today because I'm in my pink, I'm popping, and I want to be bold. So, what I want to speak about in today's episode is one that I wish I had listened to when I'd first started out. And this is, can we be a nice person but still be respected in business? Like, I want to go over how I manage my team, how I have difficult conversations, because I've always been told that there's no being nice in business and nice people finish last, nice people get walked over, and how you can keep your values while still getting a point across. I like to say being firm but fair as a people pleaser, and how I'm recovering from being a people pleaser. So, as I did last episode, I want to go in with my takeoffs and my departures. So takeoffs is obviously my successes this week, things that I'm proud of, things that I've learned. Departures, things that are not going so well, that I feel a bit about. So takeoff, when you're listening to this, I will be leaving for Antigua in the next few days for a business retreat, which I'm really excited about. And I need a bit of sun. Oh my God, I need a bit of sun. This is for me a big thing and it's exciting, but also it kind of links to my departure, which is leaving the team behind. Like, it's so stressful to leave your team behind. And even if you don't have a team, to just leave your business for like a week is a huge deal that not enough people speak about. And I'm only now, a couple years in, able to actually switch off when I'm on holiday. Like, holidays didn't exist to me. I would constantly be working when I was on holiday. But now this is probably going to be one of the first holidays I have where I can actually switch off. Thank God for that. So in terms of how I've got to that point, obviously a massive part of it is team, but it's just making sure like your systems are set up properly. You've got your out of office on, you're communicating with people and just letting them know, like, you are a human being at the end of the day. You're allowed to have a holiday. You're allowed to have a break. I know so many business owners that don't even go on holiday. Like, you're allowed to have that time for yourself. And I personally believe every single person should have at least 1 week a year where you just sit in the sun and do absolutely nothing and drink cocktails on the beach. Like, everyone needs that reset. So they're my little takeoffs and my little departures. And I also feel like another departure that I kind of want to mention that I don't feel like people really do mention as you're growing a business is the bigger your business gets, the bigger the problems are getting. Like, problems are getting bigger and it's a horrible, horrible feeling. Like, and again, it is just inevitable. I feel like I need to hug this pillow for comfort. It just feels like it's just calling to me. But yeah, the bigger your team gets, the more clients you get, it's inevitable that the problems are going to get bigger and it's scarier. So let's talk about it. We're not alone. We're here for support. So let's get into the topic of today's episode. Okay, so a bit about my character that I'm hoping a lot of people who are listening are going to relate to is I am a people pleaser. I'm always thinking about other people's opinions. I'm always worried I'm going to say the wrong thing or offend someone. And it just gets to a point where you're actually making yourself quite ill and constantly thinking about other people. And for me, this has been the hardest struggle from when I've had a team, because you've now got, maybe it's one person, maybe it's 10 people who are relying on you, and you're being told all these different things. Like, there's not many people I know that have a team that are my age. So I'm 24 for reference. And I'm always like, well, my team are like, in their 20s as well. I want to be friends with them. But then people are telling you, you can't be friends with your team. It's unprofessional. And you're just being told all this stuff and it's just so overwhelming. So I've just been trying to find what works best for me and for my team. And I want you to listen and watch this, even if you've not got a team, because I want to speak a little bit about just dealing with people in general, like dealing with just shitty people and just horrible clients that we all get. Like, I've had a bad handful of it. And I've really had to learn the art of negotiation and just speaking to people like people, because we don't often get spoken to like people. So first, I want to touch a little bit on team. So whether you are looking to grow or not, I think in some capacity, you'll always be working with people, whether that is a VA that works for you a couple hours a week, whether that's just a friend you're doing something with on the side, or whether it's a full-blown team. So when I started out with a team, I feel like a few mistakes I made were looking for people and hiring for people that I felt like I was going to be friends with and get on with. So of course I was looking at qualifications and how good they would be at the job, but I was also thinking, would I get on with this person? Would I be friends with this person? And that is just not the way to think when you're hiring. A lot of people want to do that, especially younger people, and especially if it's your first member of staff. Like, you're going to be spending all of your time with this person. It needs to be someone you're like, right, I could be besties with this person. And it, I'd say it doesn't work only because if you become too close to your staff, that's when lines can become blurred. And I think that whilst I love my team so much and they're like my family, I have certain boundaries with them. There's certain things I won't tell them. There's certain ways I won't speak to them. And if I just treated them like my best friends, that's when lines get crossed. You know, it's really, really important to have that in place. So when I first started out, I made a mistake of, like I said, hiring people that I thought I'd be friends with. Another thing was, this is so interesting, by the way, psychology blows my mind. I had me and my first 3 team members all sat on one big desk, like one big square desk. And I wasn't really feeling like they felt or saw me as their boss. Like, I feel like they just saw me as another member of the team and someone else above us was the boss. And I was like, I feel like I need that. So I spoke to a few people about it, and what we kind of came to the conclusion of is the psychology of where you're sat in the office, which this will literally blow your mind if it's new news to you. So because we are all sat on the same table, psychologically, the team saw me as equal. Like, we're all sat in the same place. There's nothing special or unique about what I'm doing or where I'm sat. So we spoke about, can we rearrange the office so that, because we only had one office at the time, I didn't have my own office. Can we rearrange it so that I am sat even on a different table? So it can be them 3 and I'm sat over here. So psychologically, I am different. And this is by no means me saying better than. I'm not better than any of my team, but they need to know that I'm their boss. So we tried this out and it worked great. So I'd say to try that out. Also, when I was able to get my own office, just having my own space was amazing. Because then you're not also available all the time for questions. So that was huge. And then things start to come where you have to have awkward chats. And this stuff makes me feel sick. Sick. I am not someone who's good at confrontation. I am not I am not good at pulling people up on stuff because I find it so uncomfortable. So I had a few instances with one of my first members of staff where she was constantly late. And it really bugged me because I was like, even though she's only, I say only 10, 20 minutes late, like, that's for me not respecting a boundary that I've set in place. I've said, can you be here at this certain time? And you're not there. So I had to seek a lot of advice on how to go about this. And I hope that this can help someone if you are in the same position as me, or even if you've not got a staff member, like I said, and it's like having an awkward conversation with a client or even a friend or a family member. So I wanted to go about it by saying, why are you late? You know, this is making me annoyed, and just getting to the root cause of it. But the best way to deliver feedback, what I've learned, again, I feel like I always will have to say on this podcast, this is my opinions. This might not work for you. It's my opinion. Is literally asking them. So I would like sit in the meeting room and say, I've noticed that you've been late on a few occasions. Like, can you tell me about that? And just let them speak. A lot of the time as managers or as anyone, like, we feel like we need to do the speaking and say, it makes me feel like this or it makes me feel like that. And we need to just take the emotion out of it and just place the question onto them. Tell me about why you've been late. Like, is there something that I can do to help? Like, do we need to be flexible with you? Obviously I wasn't really able to be flexible, but you know, just how we can get the conversation so it doesn't feel like an attack is the main thing. And you just want to understand it. And I feel like that really worked for me. And even to this day, if I feel like I need to speak to a member of the team and they're doing something wrong, or maybe they're, for example, let's say they're not very good at time management, I'll just say, I've noticed like we sent off a few client emails or client work off late this week. Tell me about that, like what happened, and just try and understand it. Because another huge mistake I made when I was hiring and getting my first few team members on board, I was just expecting they knew everything, which sounds so silly, but I think when you're in a job every single day, to you, it's like common sense. To them, it's not. So I cover everything now when we have a new team member: what to wear, what time to get here, what platforms we use, how long work should take, like everything, lunch breaks, holidays, every single thing you can think of needs to be covered, because that's when, for example, someone might go on a phone call in the office and you might be like, it's awkward to be like, can you get off the phone? Like, we're at work. But you haven't said that to them. So how are they supposed to know? You just can't assume anything. And that applies to so many things when you've got team, is to never assume anything. And that's why communication is so important. So there's been times before where I've been like, oh, the team's great this month. Like, everyone's so happy. And then I'll have a one-to-one and someone's like, I'm really struggling this month. And you'd never know it unless you asked. So never assuming anything is absolutely key. And then we've got the more severe side of things. And this is when you've got to have really, really difficult conversations. So it's no longer someone's late or someone's on a phone call. It's more like they are maybe not respecting the team. They're not delivering good work. How do you deliver feedback? Like, this is something that I, again, was so nervous for. And some really great advice that I was given that worked for me, again, not for everyone, is to come up with, I put together a spreadsheet and we basically look at all the attributes of the job. So it's time management, attitude, everything you've got that you look at to rank how well this staff member or team member is doing. And this is really great as well. Like I said, even if you've got one team member, anyone that you work with, to do once a month, regardless of if you're having problems with them or not. And what I would do is rank them out of 10 and put it on paper. And the reason why I did this was because what I used to do was go into meetings with the team, bottle it, and not say what I wanted to say because I was so nervous. Whereas if you've got it on paper right in front of you, you have to say it. And we prepare in advance. So I would say, okay, I'm going to have a one-to-one with you tomorrow. Could you fill in this for me? And they have to fill it in from their point of view as well. So they have to rank where they feel that they're at on time management out of 10, where they feel that their attitude is out of 10, so that when we meet tomorrow, we both have to say what we feel because it's there on the paper. And then we see if we're aligned, because sometimes you'll be surprised and you might be aligned. So you might say, oh, this team member's got a really horrible attitude. You'll meet together. She might also put 6 out of 10 and I've also put 6 out of 10. So I'll go, okay, great. So we're on the same page. How can we improve this? Or you'll obviously have the clash where I might put 6 and she might put 10. And you're like, okay. And that's where you have to elaborate because you've already said a 6. So I'll say, okay, so for me, I've got a 6 out of 10. This was because of blah, 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 blah. Can you see my perspective on this? And I think this will get a lot of controversy and it does when I speak about it, is to get your team to look at things from your perspective. No one wants to have awkward conversations. So when I have had them before, I'll just say, I hope you can see it from my perspective that we need to look at, like, this isn't making us money, or we need to look at this because this is giving us a bad reputation. Can you see my perspective on that? And usually the answer 9 times out of 10 is yes. When it's no, it's another problem. But that is amazing for delivering feedback. And like I said, you don't have to wait till there's a problem for that to happen. It's really great to just know where your team member is at in every single walk of the company and every single walk of the job role. So another way of giving feedback, again, this can be team or client, whoever, because maybe sometimes it is that you've hired a freelancer to do your website or something and you don't like it and you need to deliver the feedback without sounding like an arsehole. So a good technique that I use that I believe is used in the business world is a shit sandwich. And this is where you've got to deliver some maybe not so great feedback, but you don't just want to go straight in and say, the work was awful, I'm not happy with it. So what we do is we pull this person in. We start out with good. So we say, so impressed with how your attitude's been this week. It's really progressed since last month. And then it gets them to be like, oh, great. And then you say, however, I wasn't too impressed with whatever, X, Y, and Z. So is there any way we can improve that? And then again, delivering a great thing. So you say, but I did love the blah, 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 blah. And then you've put two things out there and the not so great thing in the middle. And another way that I like to make sure that things are actually actioned from this, because I think a big problem is that we'll have this conversation and then it won't improve. It happens. So what I tend to do is when I've done the scorecard, so we've gone ranking stuff out of 10, is say if something is really low, so if it's below 5 maybe, we'll say we'll have this meeting this time next week or this time next month, and see if this has gone up. If not, you might have to put something in place that. If not, I don't know what the consequence would be there. Don't want to put words into your mouth. But that is a great way of delivering feedback. And I think the thing is with having difficult conversations, whoever that may be to, and this does apply to your friends or, when you just like have a disagreement with a friend and you need to just rip the Band-Aid off and speak about it, it does genuinely help to do it sooner rather than later. And I know that we all hear this, and I know we don't want to hear it, but it is because things fester and it gets awkward. And a lot of the time it's just about communication and understanding people's point of view and speaking. So moving on more so to clients, and when you have disagreements with clients, I always say we need to just get on a phone call, because I have been through absolute hell with clients and going back and forth on email. Things get taken the wrong way. People can mean one thing, say one thing, mean another thing. Just get them on a call. So wherever I can, if I feel hesitance from a client or I feel someone's unhappy, I'll just say, I'll keep it really short and sweet. Short, okay. I'll keep it short and say thank you so much for your feedback. I really value that. Do you have any time to jump on a call today or next week? I try not to let it fester too much. If you can get them on today, tomorrow, that's great. And speak about it on the call. Because emails, they can get nasty. People can get nasty on emails and text. And I know it's scary. I am so not someone that would have gone on a call, but trust me, it is just better to get on a call. I know it sounds scary, but even just saying, can we just jump on a call? You've done it. You've booked it in. You don't have to call them right then and there. It's booked in. You can make some notes of what you need to say and offer solutions as well. So that for me has been a massive learning curve, because I hated calls. I don't want to speak to anyone on the phone. I'm scared. So just putting that in place rather than spending, and as well, we spend so much time and energy on these emails. When you're having a disagreement with a client, you can spend hours, and you can also spend hours thinking about it as well, when it can just be resolved in a 5-minute phone call. It doesn't need to be such a big deal. And in terms of what I've learned the most about clients and people that are unhappy, they're unhappy because their expectations haven't been met. And it's as simple as that. A client isn't happy, it's because they've got the wrong expectations. So we have this a lot because obviously I specialize in helping people go viral on social media. And a big mistake I made when I started introducing this was that I assumed everyone knows what that meant. And I assumed that everyone would just give us that trust to do it. So we'd take people on board. They'd obviously pay a lot of money for that service. And then we'd send the content over and we'd instantly get pushback being like, this wasn't what I expected. I don't like it. Can I get a refund? And people start to panic. And I've been learning about this a bit recently and what that means. And one thing I learned from my business coach was that people get buyer's remorse. So usually when you're selling something that's a high price point, because it's a high price point, people start to panic. So it's the same as if, when you buy a car or you buy a house or whatever it is, it's like you've spent so much money, it's gone. And you're like, oh my God, I hope this is right. I hope I've made the right decision. So that's why you get people on that first week or the first month being a bit difficult, because they've just spent a lot of money and it's terrifying to them and they want to make sure they've made the right decision. So what I've tried to do is really, really just set every expectation. So it takes longer, but it's better in the long run. So when we have new clients join us, I'll sit with them on a call for half an hour, sometimes even an hour, and I've made a presentation and it goes through absolutely everything. Like why we do what we do, what going viral means, why you should want to go viral, why you can't make certain changes to the content, otherwise it won't perform. Frequently asked questions, questions about payment, literally everything you can think of so that you've left no stone unturned. And then when things come up from then, you can just refer back to that call. So I record it, I transcript it. So if people do say, oh, I'm not really sure about this concept, I'll say, okay, like I completely get that. And again, like back it up. So say, for example, if we get people that say, I'm not sure about this viral concept, I will back it up with case studies to help them feel more comfortable. Because again, it's a big investment. And I'm the same. Like, if you buy like a really expensive pair of shoes, or, I'll buy stuff for this podcast or whatever, you want it to work, and it's a big investment and it's scary. So I love it when I do, for example, if I buy a car or a pair of shoes or whatever, get that email straight away where it's like, thank you so much for purchasing this car. These are what the next steps are. People just want communication. And that's, again, a big mistake I made at the start, was that I would onboard people, like they would pay their invoice and then I'd get started on the work, but I wouldn't communicate to them that I'd started on the work. So they'd be like, hello, have you got the payment? Like, and I'd be like, God, why are they being so whatever? But of course they asked that. Like I would be like, hello, have you got the car payment? Like you need to know. So now whenever we take people on, straight away they'll get an email being like, thank you so much for signing that contract. Here are the next steps, so that literally no stone is left unturned. So while we're on the topic of clients, I also think it's really important. Maybe I can keep that in. Maybe keep that in. While we're on the topic of clients, it's really important to have contracts. Whatever you offer, have contracts in place. Cannot stress this enough, because you can't take people's word. And I feel like it's like a really hard pill I've had to swallow over the past year or so, is that you really just don't know people's intentions, and people are weird. Like we've had so many instances where we think we know a client and we get on with them really well, and then they'll just turn, or they'll just steal something, or it just goes weird. And I'm like, God, why didn't I write that in the contract? So contracts can be easy. They don't have to be scary. You can literally just go on ChatGPT and say, I'm a photographer, I shoot wedding content, write me a contract, and it'll just write you a contract. Or you can pay for one from a lawyer. It doesn't have to be scary. So we have contracts for everything. We use DocuSign or HelloSign to get people to sign it. And we won't do anything unless something's been signed first. And we can always refer back to that contract as well. And an issue that comes up with contracts is that people don't read them. I kind of don't do this myself because I'm lazy. So what you can do in your contracts is separate them. So you can literally get them to sign it multiple times rather than once. So you can get them to read a chunk, sign it, read a chunk, sign it, read a chunk, sign it, and get them to acknowledge everything that they're reading rather than just getting them to sign it at the bottom. So that's really, really important, because like I said, you just can't take people's word for things. Like we've had occasions before where we'll get someone to sign a contract and then they'll make a change and we'll verbally say, so say for example, we were doing social media and they say, actually guys, can we just skip the content day for this week because I'm ill or whatever? So I'll just be like, yeah, let's just skip it. And then because it's still in the contract, as much as it seems like such a small thing, that can come back to bite you if things go sour, if things turn sour, because they can go back and say, well, you didn't provide me with this content day. And I can say, well, you told me. And they can be like, well, where's the evidence? And it's not in the contract. So now, even if people make the slightest change, like say if they go from daily posts to 5 posts a week, I go back in that contract, change it from daily to 5 posts a week, get them to re-sign it, because people are absolutely ruthless. Like they really, really are. And in terms of things like payments, what we do is get everyone to pay up front. And I feel like a massive misconception of starting a business is that people won't do that and that you can't negotiate. So for example, when you're first starting out, you literally will bend over backwards for clients. And if they say, can I pay you half up front, half after, can I, they're cheeky and they'll negotiate fees. And you're like, yeah, that's fine. No worries. You're one of my first clients. Like, that's fine. And I think there's obviously a bit of leeway for this, but it's a total myth when companies say like, oh, we have a 30-day payment policy or a 60-day payment policy. If people want you bad enough, they will deal with it. Like, they will sort it out. So we are very strict with like upfront payments, again, just because people can screw you over. You can do the work and then they cannot pay. So it's just how strongly you put that boundary in place. Boundaries are really, really important, and I have these in place with clients as well. That not a lot of people agree with. So my biggest boundary that I speak about quite a lot on my socials is that I do not give my phone number out to any clients, and I try my best not to have the team give out their phone number as well. So because we do have different types of clients where they're like, oh, can I just get you on WhatsApp? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then they're texting me, they're voice noting me. I also think the tone of voice is lost a lot in text. Like when you're emailing, it's like, dear sir or madam, like kind regards. When you go on text, it's like, hi, where's the post? Question mark, question mark. Like it gets aggressive really fast. And I just don't like it. I just keep it on email. Don't contact me. Don't have regular contact with me. If you need me, book in a call. Like I'm free whenever, girl. I'll speak to you whenever. But the emails is a no. No, the text messages is a no. And I'm the same with the team. I don't give out their phone number. I'm very strict with like, put on your do not disturb after you finish work, because we all know, listening to this, there is literally no worse feeling than when you're out, like having a nice time on a Friday night, doing whatever you're doing, and you get a really shitty email or message and it makes you feel sick, like your stomach churns, and that's the only thing you can think about. So do not disturb is on for me. It's on for my team. I don't let them log into any clients' Instagram or TikTok accounts, because if they see a comment, that can make them spiral. I'm very strict about giving them a very fair work-life balance, because I know what it's like to not have a work-life balance, and it's all you think about. And to be honest, I'm still working that out myself. Does work-life balance exist? No. I think there's like peaks and troughs you go through. I think when you're in a crazy phase where you've got loads to do, like at the minute, I'm like spinning a million plates. So for me, I'm like, it doesn't matter as much if I am not prioritizing certain things, because I know that once this is all done, I can relax a bit and I can prioritize the things that need prioritizing again. So when you're setting these boundaries in place, I think you just need to think about how important are they to you. So my boundary has always been really strict of not giving my phone number out. And a client horror story I had that still gives me nightmares to this day is I can't remember how, but I remember a client had asked to give me a call. And my team basically said, like, hi, Vic's in meetings today. Also, we don't give out our phone number. This client somehow found my phone number. I've removed it now, but I think it was on our Google, what's it called? Google, whenever you search a business, it brings up all their reviews and stuff and our address and blah, blah, blah. And it was on there because I just forgotten. So I suppose my fault there. But I didn't give it out to her, and we purposely said, like, we don't give out our phone number. So then this client, I think this was a bit of an age thing, for another episode, the age thing. But older people don't like being told what to do by younger people. That's not all. A lot of people we found us to be very, they just don't like being put in their place. So I think when we have very strong boundaries, it triggers people, and they'll be like, don't tell me what to do. So this woman made it her mission to find my phone number, found it obviously on Google. It's no longer there, so don't try it. And she rang me, I think like 4 or 5 times whilst I was in a meeting. So I was on a meeting with a client and my phone rang. So I was like, oh, sorry, I'm just going to put that on silent. And then it came up on my laptop as well. So my laptop was blaring. She rang me again. So I had to like text the team under the table and be like, can you just, because I was like, I'm guessing it's a client. Like I had a feeling it was a client because they were saying that she wanted to call me. Just tell her I'm on a meeting, like, and to stop calling me. So we just said, hi. I can't remember how they figured out that it was her, but I think we'd guessed by the like obscene amount of calls. We just said, like, as we said, like, please, can you just, I'm happy to speak to her. I even said to one of the team members, you speak to her, like anyone speak to her, she needs us. And we just said, like, please just like give it a bit of space. And she continued to do it even when we said no. And I have still got the screenshot to this day on my phone. She rang me 11 times in a row. 11 times in a row. Like, insane after being told no. So for us, that was like a very, very, very strong cross of our boundaries. And that for me was like, no, like I am not working with this person because they clearly don't respect boundaries. Like that's what we've told her from the start, and she's gone against it. So this for us was, and I know that when you're further into business, you have the luxury, I guess, of cutting these people out. When it's the start, you do have to put up with a bit of shit, unfortunately, because you need the cash in. But when you're a bit more established, you're in a really great position to be like, I'm not working with you because you've not respected my boundaries. So we went back, sent her this email and just said, and also we found out that the call was just, she just wanted to chat things over. It wasn't even an emergency. I would have semi-understood if it was an emergency. But there's no emergencies in marketing. Let's all remember that. And I just said, I don't want to move forward with this partnership if you can't respect like that simple boundary. Yeah, and again, didn't like being told that. Older people just don't like being told what to do by a younger person, and that's something I really, really struggle with. And like I said a minute ago, it's not all people older than me. I have friends that are like 10, 20 years older than me who respect me and listen to me and value my opinions. But I think, I mean, I don't know if any other young business owners resonate with this, but when you are trying to set your boundaries with someone who is like 10, 20, 30 years older than you, it's like, ooh, like they really don't like it. And I try and dull myself down a lot and try and not be loud or chatty or friendly when I'm met with that, because I'm like, oh, they don't like me. Like I'm going to go in on myself a bit and like become like go back in my shell a bit if I'm met with the wrong attitude or the wrong vibe. And that's also really important to think about when you're working with people. Like, what are the red flags? And I also got some amazing advice from a friend of mine who works in business about really analyzing your clients each month and your customers each month and ranking them in terms of like, how much money do they pay? Are they a high payer? Because they might be a high payer and a lovely person, or a high payer and a bit of an asshole. And it's whether you are willing to keep that client because they're a high payer, but you know that they're going to be a difficult client to work with. And that's where you have to align on what are your values as a company, what are your boundaries as a company, and how important is it for you to have those in place? Because we're pretty strict on them now, where I'm like, I don't care how much money someone's paying us, do not speak to me like that. Like, I'm not having it. And having a team of young girls as well, we are vulnerable to this. Like I've had a team member on a call before in tears because someone basically wrangled their way onto a discovery call. I don't even know how, and just was very abusive. And I was just like, no, shut the laptop off. We're not being spoken to like that. And again, sort of like referring back to my first episode, people get really triggered when you are a strong woman or a strong person in general. Like when you are very like aligned with your values and your boundaries, people don't like it. They don't like it. Peak example of this, recently, me and my sister were traveling up to London, and I was like, I'm going to upgrade us to first class and we're going to have a really nice breakfast, like in the sun. It was a really sunny day. And the lady came to take my breakfast order. And as you all know, I'm a fussy eater. So I was like, can I have the full English? No black pudding, no mushrooms, no tomatoes, no eggs, like all of the stuff I didn't want. And she was really rude. Like she was like, oh, so not a full English then. And I was like, can I have ketchup? And she was like, but you won't eat tomatoes. Just very, when you just meet someone, you're like, come on, like give me a break. And I couldn't understand it for the first sort of half an hour on the train. Like me and my sister were like, what? Like, have we done something to upset her? And it was triggered. Like people are triggered by things. She would have seen that we're young ladies. We're sitting in first class as a treat. We're being very strict with what we want. Like we're not just going, can I have the full English, please? Like we're literally saying, could I have it without this, without that? Like we're good with voicing our opinions. And she's thinking, these two stuck up girls, that was for her a trigger point. So usually when you meet people, whether that is a client or a person in general, and they're not meeting your energy, it's like, okay, I'm triggering something in you. I know. And I've had this before with I think I am one of those people that's a bit like Marmite. Like people either meet me straight away and be like, love you, love your energy, or I'm a bit too much. And that's fine. And I'm not willing to dull myself down for anyone because I've done that for years. And the people that think I'm too much, you can go and find less because I am not myself when I'm not, you know, I'm like what am I like? Very eccentric person. I'm just very emotional and very reactive. And some people don't like that because they think like, oh, she's very full of herself or she's very opinionated or whatever it is. And that triggers them because they're not like that. I can't remember what my point of was with this. So just dealing my head, just dealing with clients that don't meet your values. And it's okay to say no and just not have a reason. Like we have so many people that apply to work with us, and I'm just like, no, like we're not the right fit for you, and that's okay. I don't have to justify it. And when you are going through phases where you feel like you're constantly attracting maybe negative clients or bad experiences, think about why that is. So are you speaking to the right people? And again, I've got my little quotes on my notes. You can't get 10K clients if you're speaking to £10 clients. I think we all do this at the start. Like we think about how we can apply our services or our products to as many people as possible, which is great. Like we're reaching all those people, but they're not the right people. And that's where I found that when I was bringing out like cheaper services and cheaper products to reach more people, I was having more issues because they were people that were £10 clients. Like that, people always say the cheapest clients are the most expensive problems, which is so true. And like the people that are trying to get is there an expression like a bit of bang for your buck or something? Is that an expression? I don't know. People that are just trying to just get something out of you for cheap can often be the biggest problems. So just think about who you're speaking to and make sure you're attracting in the right people, because when you speak to such a broad audience, you're going to get broad inquiries. You're going to get people from all over, and they're not going to be your ideal client. So I just make sure now with our marketing, I'm like, right, who is our target customer? Like, who exactly do we want? Is that speaking to them? No, then let's reframe it. And I feel like maybe I should do a whole episode on social media because it's quite fitting. But just thinking about, obviously, if you are bringing out cheaper services and products, like we've got a service that's like £27 a month, then I know with that, there might be some problems that come up. And it's, there'll be people saying, it's not what I expected, I'm not happy with it. There'll be people that are saying, this is amazing, can't believe it's £27. With anything that's cheaper, you're just going to have to accept that because it's so cheap and easy to buy, it's easy to complain. And I do think there's a lot said for companies where your products and services don't have to be available for everyone. Like I went through a phase where I was just like, I've got no niche. I want to work with everyone. I just want to make as much money as I can. And it's just so much better to have some sort of niche. I'm always a person that says to not go with a niche because you are cutting out so many people. So like my niche for us, for management, it's more product-based people. So that's my niche. Anyone that has a product, what we can sell. The more broader you make it, that's when you're going to get the most problems. And it's a lot easier to have less clients who pay more, who respect you, who you're excited about, than more clients who pay less, who you're not really that excited about, and who don't excite you and the team or whoever it is that's working. So your clients are basically your whole life, like, and the people who buy your products are your whole ecosystem, if you like, of business. So if you're not aligning with them and they're not making you happy, like you don't have to work with them. You've become a business owner so that you can have more freedom and flexibility. I'm going to try and say that without laughing, because has anyone actually had any more freedom and flexibility from this? No. But we find ways. I think like that's a massive misconception about business, is that you're like, wow, like people probably think of me and be like, wow, she has such an amazing life. And she's probably just like on holiday all the time and has loads of money. It's just like, no, girl, that is not the truth. You're working all the time, constantly thinking about your business. And that's why I started to, so like for me, and we'll touch on this maybe in another episode. I have really struggled with doing things for me, like going to yoga or booking in a massage. And I was like, I just don't want to do that because I don't want to do it in like work time. I don't want to offend the team. I don't want the team to think I'm off like doing yoga while they're hard at work. And then someone was like, yeah, but Vic, you're working on your business 24/7. So it doesn't matter whether you're at yoga 12 p.m. till 2 p.m., like, because you're just going to be working those hours later on. So in general, it's just about not justifying yourself to people, sticking strongly with your boundaries and your values. And the stronger you are with those, the more respect you get from people. Like I've had clients where I've been literally, I felt sick about how I'm going to resolve an issue with them. And I'd be like, oh my God. And I'll be like, just send the email. And then I'll actually get a lot of their respect and they'll really value that I voiced my opinion and they'll really value that I have these boundaries in place and they'll carry on working with us because they're like, wow, these girls have really got their heads screwed on tight. So I'm going to wrap this one up and I really, really hope this has helped. I feel like I need to plug my socials a bit as well. And you can DM me on there if you need anything else. So Vicky.Owens on Instagram and TikTok. I always share like business tips and advice and things like that on there. So if you need me, just send me a DM, just send me a voice note and I can help. But yes, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Business Class and I will see you on the next one.